check out what do I have over here. It's a diagnostic interface. It looks like this. Well, this is just a box because the actual device is over here. I'm not going to pretend that this is the first time that I'm holding it in my hands. I've been using it for a couple of weeks right now, and I believe I can now share my feelings and things that I noticed over here about this device, the pros and cons. As usual, we are in Golf Mark 7, but I also have a couple other vehicles over here just to mix it up and check how this works with different brands other than Volkswagen, Audi, Seat and Skoda, which are, well, they are pretty well covered by all the other diagnostic interfaces. So let's quickly go through the case over here, through the carrying case, and then we will hook it up to Golf Mark 7 and we will check how this works. So first of all, we have the device. It's a tablet-based device, a 7-inch touch display. It looks pretty solid, I have to say. We have nothing at the bottom, nothing at the right side, nothing on the left side, and at the top we have the connector for the diagnostic interface, we have power button, and we have micro USB. I believe there's also a microphone, and at the back we have just the speaker. And over here you can see that this is made by XTOOL, and the model is D7, as you can see on the box. What's else in the carrying case? We have some protective foam, we have quick start guide, we have user manual, we have the diagnostic cable, which is about 2 meters long, we have the micro USB cable over here, and we have the power brick with some regional adapters, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's hook it up over here. Let's start the engine and let's perform some basic procedures over here. So short press this button to wake up the display, and this is how the user interface looks like. Oh, can we get a little less glare over here? Okay, I believe we are good. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 buttons over here. We have updates, settings, more, which is just taking you to the XTOOL website. We have the diagnosis option and auto scan option. So those two are related to the diagnostic procedures that you are going to do in the vehicle, as well as the special function, which gives you a lot of shortcuts to special functions. If you don't want to get to find those through the scan feature, you can just go over here. If you are just interested, for example, in let's say clutch adaptation, because you are servicing only gearboxes, this is the place to go to. Okay, we have also reports. This is your archive or history of all the previous scans, and you have remote control, which is just a shortcut to a team viewer to give a remote access to this device, for example, to a remote technician that would do something on the vehicle that you have been connected to. Okay, so maybe let's start with a simple auto scan of this vehicle. As I said, this is Golf Mark 7, and we will check if it will find it properly. I believe it does. And let's just confirm that this is Golf after 213. Okay, and while it's doing its thing, let's select automatic scan. Let me just tell you how the setup procedure, the initial setup looked like over here. So right now it's going through the modules, but when you first turn on the device, it will ask you to connect to Wi-Fi, and I believe create an account or just give a valid email address, and you can most likely perform an update over here, because while this device was shipped to you and it was waiting in the box, there were new updates available for it. So this is what you should start with before connecting to a vehicle. And there are 3 types of updates. System update, because this runs Android, so there's most likely something for the Android system to update, and application update, the diagnostic application update, and the specific procedures update. So there are 3 kinds of updates. All of those are pretty simple. If you just see a prompt of the display, you want to press OK or next or whatever. As long as you are connected to Wi-Fi and you have a battery charged, it will just perform those updates, and you just need to wait, nothing more. So right now the device is going through all modules and it's looking what's installed in the vehicle and which modules are reporting faults. We have some faults already over here, but let's just be patient and let's keep waiting, and after a few more seconds we will check how this diagnostic scan looks like. You can see standard Android interface bar over here, but there are some new custom buttons over here, like the screen recording, like the shortcut to the application itself, and screenshot button over here. So you won't miss a thing if you are diagnosing a vehicle and you see something unusual. You can just take a screenshot or record the display over here. Okay, I believe we are done. So this scan is done. We have 4 modules reporting faults. And we can now, I believe, we can now check what's wrong with the vehicle. What are those faults related to? So maybe let's press report. And we have this beautiful diagnostic report created in PDF format. It's easy to share it. Oh, let's check how this looks like. Okay, we have the fault codes, we have a description of known codes, and we have one unknown code. We can save it. We can even, I believe, share it via email directly from this application, but I will show this to you in a minute. So let's go back right now, and maybe let's start with the 5F, with the multimedia system. Let's press diagnosis and let's check what's actually wrong here with this infotainment unit. So right now I'm connected to the 5F module, the multimedia system, and I can read those trouble codes. We have 2 of them. One is related to the navigation database memory card, which is not original, so this fault is present in the system all the time, basically, as long as the unoriginal SD card is inserted in the multimedia system. And this one is a common one which appears every time you try to update the system yourself and not perform the confirmation procedure at the end. So those 2 are basically not faults. Those are just let's say warnings or information messages that something was not done 100% properly, but there are no reasons to worry about those 2. Okay, so let's go back. Yes, I want to exit, and right now maybe let's try some of those common special features. Okay, so those are guided procedures which are going to do most stuff for you. Maybe let's do the oil reset. So I had oil and filter replaced in this vehicle, but the reminder was not reset, so I have the oil change service and inspection due reminder over here. We can also go over here to service menu and we can see that the inspection is due. So right now let's check if it will reset those reminders. Let's go to oil reset, maybe automatic settings. Minor maintenance is the oil reminder and major is the vehicle inspection reminder. So let's start with oil. Let's set it to 15. Okay, turn off the ignition switch. Okay, I'm not going to do this, but I can already see on the display that the oil change was reset. So now let's do the same with the major reminder. Let's set it maybe to this value, and the second one was also reset, but 2 years, well, that's a little bit too much. Let's set it to 1 year. Okay, it was that easy. So now maybe the other most popular feature, I believe it's EPB. This is electronic parking brake. So when you are replacing brake pads in the rear and you have the electronic parking brake like I have over here, well, there's a procedure that will release those rear brakes for your convenience. It will be much easier to replace those brakes, so let's check if this procedure works. So first of all, I want the engine to be off, I want the ignition to be on, gearbox in parked, foot on brake, parking brake released, foot off brake, and I will open the door so we can hear better if the mechanism is actually moving, and go to EPB. I know that it's controlled by the brakes module, not the parking brake module. There's no separate module for the parking brake. And right now we can read codes, clear codes, or go to the replace brake pads option. So let's select that, and we have three things over here that we can select from: exit, interrupt, or activate the friction plate replacement mode. So I want to activate this mode. Let's press number 1. Okay. Can you hear it? Yeah, and we have all sorts of codes over here. Since the brake is not working right now and we are connected with the brakes module, we have all the indicators over here. So let's say that right now I've replaced those brakes, and I want this replacement mode to be done. So which test step is replace the brake and the brake mode, tighten brake. Okay, I want to select number 2, end brake pad replacement and tighten brake. Press number 2. Okay. Can you hear it? Okay. I believe that's it. Please wait, please wait. Okay. We still have those warning messages over here. So, okay, right now end brake replacement mode, number 1. Okay. Okay. Warnings are still here, so maybe foot on the brake, engage parking brake, and not yet. Let's go back, and let's cycle the ignition. No need. Module was reset when I've done the diagnostics. And right now we don't have any warnings about the parking brake, so I believe this procedure works as well. So now maybe let's check another thing that's pretty common if you are doing some service on Volkswagens with BSG transmission. For example, if you are replacing the oil or the fluid in the transmission, you want to make sure at some point of the procedure that the temperature of the fluid is within the correct range. So let's check what's the temperature right now. Okay, let's go to diagnosis. Let's select Volkswagen. Give it a couple seconds. Press OK. Let's do automatic selection. This will select the vehicle that we are connected to for us. It will do it automatically. Let's just confirm which one is it from this short list of available vehicles. And right now let's go to full system diagnosis. This will give us access to all the modules in the vehicle. And since we want to check the temperature of the fluid in the transmission, we want to select the transmission, which is over here, number 2, transmission electronics. And in transmission we are going to select live data. And in live data, let's select default view, and we have all those live information about what's the gearbox doing right now. But well, it's a lot of data. Yeah, we have 75 different parameters over here, but we are interested just in the temperature. So let's use this magnifying glass, and it will allow us to filter those results. So let's type in temperature, and we have ATF temperature, control module temperature, and clutch temperature. So let's select ATF, 21 degrees, but maybe let's compare it to something more. Temperature, clutch temperature. Okay, we've selected another one, and let's go with the third one. Let's go with the speed, maybe. Transmission input speed. Okay, and right now let's press custom. So this list is now it now contains only those 3 values that we are interested in, but we can also go into graph mode. Yeah, and we have 3 graphs for those 3 parameters over here. So if I rev the engine a little bit, we should see that the input speed of the transmission will go up. Okay, I believe it's working. And we can also combine to see them all at once on a single graph. Well, those parameters are maybe not so much related to each other, so there's no need to see them on a single graph, but we can do it for engine. Right now I'm connected with the engine control module. I'm in live data, and I've selected just two things: fuel pressure that is measured by the sensor on the fuel rail, and the fuel pressure that the engine control module wants to achieve. So this is what is in the system. Yeah, this is the fuel pressure in the system, and this is the desired pressure that the engine control module requires right now from the fuel system. So let's combine those two things, and we can see that there is some variation. The red line is the actual pressure, and the purple one is the desired one. So let's give it a little bit of revs. And you can see how those lines are pretty much going on the same level all the time. There's a little bit of variation, but I believe this is just fine. Okay, so we checked that the fuel pressure system over here with almost no load works pretty well. And now we are in BMW. Maybe let's close the door. We are in BMW X1 E84 2010, and we are connected already with the vehicle, and let's perform automatic scan. So like we just did in Volkswagen, now we are going through all the modules in BMW. This took way less time, and we have some faults. We have even 7 faults in the driver's side footwell module. Okay, so maybe let's go to the report and let's see what's wrong over here. Some missing messages. Well, oil switch information. You can also see if the fault is current, if it's actually active right now, or if it's just saved in the history for some reason. Thank you, I don't need you right now. If it's just something that has happened before and was stored in the control module memory, but it's not active at the moment. Okay, so maybe in this vehicle, let's try to clear all those codes with single press. We will check how this works over here. So there were 7 modules with fault codes, and it just cleared all those codes. And let's perform the automatic scan once again to see which are still here and which actually have been cleared. So we have 2 faults in 2 modules, 1 fault in each, and I believe those are the codes that we should be focusing on. So we have DPF system information over here. There's something in the DPF system that requires our attention, and what's here, passenger side faulty pivoting mirror motor. This mirror is not folding anymore. The motor over here, or the wiring, is broken. So that's also something that we should focus on when repairing this vehicle. Maybe let's check some information about this DPF system. So let's go to System Select. I believe this will be in Drive, Engine System, Live Data, and it's divided into groups. It will be in the exhaust system, I believe. And over here we have some information about the temperature of the exhaust and back pressure and mileage traveled since regeneration. So the regeneration was performed not that long ago, and we can see that the regeneration request is stored in the module, but maybe the required conditions were not met. Maybe the engine was not hot enough, maybe the fuel was low and the procedure was stopped by that, or maybe the vehicle speed was not high enough to start the regeneration. So I believe if this vehicle will, when this vehicle will be used on the road for a couple minutes, maybe I will take it for a quick spin on the motorway, I believe this regeneration will happen and will be complete, and I believe this fault will be cleared. So now maybe an output test just to check if it works. So let's go to body, let's go to combi, this is instrument cluster, and we have output tests over here, actuation test. And let's select maybe the speedometer, set it to 100. So we will check if the speedometer is working correctly if it's set to 100. Right now we are not moving, so it's set to 0. So let's activate this function. And we can confirm that it's actually set to 100. And when we are done, let's just press prohibit over here, and we are back. Maybe let's try another one. In maintain body, let's go to shutdown and lock, and we have, for example, sunroof initialization. So let's try. Okay, I believe it's moving. I'm not touching those buttons whatsoever, and right now the sunroof is learning the end positions of the sunshade and the roof window as well. So I believe it will go to the end position and back. Sunshade as well, or no? Yes, it is. And it's done. I believe it's done. Okay, we can confirm that this function works. And now we are in Fiat Grande Punto 2009, and as usual, let's go with the automatic scan. So it will go through the available modules. It takes just a couple of seconds, and we have a lot of faults over here. So let's go to the report. And what's wrong? EGR valve, well, that explains the check engine over here. We have canvas line off information, also here can line information fault, stop light fault, and also another can line error. Okay, so let's go back, let's clear those codes, let's go back, and let's scan again. So those faults were in the history of the vehicle, but are no longer a problem, I believe. And this sticky EGR valve, well, there's no check engine light at the moment, but I believe if I reset the engine, restart it, it will be back on over here, because I had this issue with the EGR valve over here some time ago, and I believe it needs my attention once again. Okay, so fault scan was easy. Let's go to system selection, and maybe let's check something interesting over here. Maybe some live data from the engine. Well, which one is it? This is with automatic transmission, so that's not it. And we have those two. I bet it's the older one. Let's check if we can read it. Yeah, so the communication is okay. Let's go to live data, and we have 66 live data input parameters over here, like the fuel corrections. Maybe that will be interesting. So let's select those, and we will check if the fuel injectors are working correctly. So let's go to graph mode, and we have each injector in its separate graph. So right now I'm going to rev the engine a little bit, and we will check how this correction looks like, which injectors need to be corrected. Well, right now they are all at 0, which is very nice, but at idle, let's check, also 0. No, right now there are some corrections, so the number 2 is at 0, number 4 needs to be corrected in the positive direction and 1 and 3 in negative direction. So those two are overflowing if the control module needs to reduce the quantity of fuel, and this one needs to compensate for this value, and all of those, if they are added together, they should zero out. So I believe as long as we are within the specified values, we are good over here. Well, keep in mind that this vehicle is about 15 years old and it has 300,000 kilometers on the odometer, so some inconsistency over here is not a surprise. So maybe let's try output tests, like instruments. This is instrument cluster. Let's do actuation test, and somewhere at the end there's a speedometer test. So I believe when I press it, we should see the same thing as in BMW. So let's check if this Italian vehicle is supported by this device. Yeah, it worked correctly. That's cool. So maybe let's talk pros and cons over here. First of all, I love that the supported vehicles, supported brands variety is so large. Over here we have a lot of cars. Second thing, I love that the special functions over here are also so diverse. There's a lot of things that we can do over here. Those are the most popular procedures. So if you are, for example, running a shop just for DPF cleaning, you have this DPF application over here, which will help you out. Right now you just need to select the vehicle that you are interested in, and you will have the DPF procedures that this device supports for the selected brand. It's cool that in the report section you will have all the previously done diagnostics. So we have the Fiat, the BMW, the Volkswagen that we've done today. We have history from other vehicles. As I said, I've tested it for a couple weeks, and we have some Volvo, Fiat, Opel, Audi and Porsche vehicles that were connected over here with this device, and we can check those diagnostic reports. We can share them via email, even directly from the device, so that's very cool. You can just enter the email address of the car owner, and this report will be sent to him or her via email in the PDF format. If you are looking at live data, you can also optionally record it. So over here I have a recording of live data. We can play it and we can see what the parameters were like when the car was connected to this diagnostic interface. We can select those things over here. We can go to custom, display all. Can we? Or we can do it like this, and we can see on grab what the readout was like. So right now I'm not connected to this vehicle, to this Audi that I'm looking at on the screen at the moment, but I can review the live data that was stored while the procedure was ongoing. I also like that the display is so big and bright, and I like that this device is running Android system and you have direct access to the Android system over here. So you can go over here, you can use it as a web browser or an internet radio if you want to. There's internet connection, there's built-in battery. It charges every time you connect to a vehicle. So I've started this video with a 50% battery, and right now I'm ending it with a full battery, because all the time via the OBD2 connector this battery was charging, and right now it's full. I'm not sure how big the battery is, but if you disconnect it from the vehicle or the power source, it will work for hours. And there's a built-in Wi-Fi over here for all the updates, so the update procedure is very simple. Right now I have 49 updates pending, and this is also a cool thing that they are providing updates on a week-to-week basis, and this update procedure is pretty simple. As long as you have connection to internet, you just press update all and wait a couple of minutes or couple seconds for those updates to be downloaded and installed. Okay, so maybe right now some cons, some things that I don't like over here. Although the display is very large and it's very bright, there's no dark mode, so if you are working in dark conditions, this might be too bright for you. And this is not an IPS display, so it's hard to see it from an angle like this. For example, if you are driving the vehicle, if you are testing it for a test drive and you have a co-driver with you with the device, he or she needs to hold it right like this if you want to see the data, because from this angle, well, it's very hard to see what's on the display. That's a minor complaint from me. There is one thing that actually surprised me. So right now I'm connecting to the Volkswagen Golf over here, and there is one thing missing from the functionality, which actually surprised me. So if we connect with, for example, the instrument cluster, we have all those options over here to choose from. So we can check the information about the instrument cluster, we can read and clear codes, check live data, check the freeze frame, perform some output tests, perform basic settings and adaptation, and some advanced identification. We can use the login code, but there's no coding option over here. There's adaptation option, so we can perform adaptation changes, but there is no coding. So if you want to enable something in the instrument cluster, if you are replacing the instrument cluster and you want to transfer old coding to the new module, well, I cannot see the coding option over here, even though if I go to the ICU information section, the last thing over here is the coding, so the device can read the coding. But if I want to change something and store it back in the unit, well, I just cannot see the option to do this, so that's surprising. Okay, and the last thing that I think I should mention over here, if you go to settings, you have some languages to choose from, but this functionality, well, maybe let me show you. If I change it to Polish and go back over here, I don't have those features over here. So you actually, and updates are gone. You actually need to contact the tech support and tell them that device with this and this serial number is now using this and this language, and they will provide new licensing for those apps. And you cannot just switch the language and have it working in another language. Yeah, right now this is set to English and it will work only in English, and if you want to change it, you will still have to contact the technical support, so they will provide you updated functionality to this application. And all this functionality right now is available for you only in the English. And also one more thing, if we go to settings, about, we have subscription expiration, 3 years from the day that I've first used this device, and I'm not sure what will happen after those 3 years. If the device will stop working and I will need to buy another subscription, or maybe this is just for the provided updates. So after 3 years of supports and updates, they will no longer provide those, but the functionality that is already in the device will still work. So I'm not sure how this works exactly, but well, I'm just noticing that there's an expiration date over here in the settings menu, so I'm sharing this information with you. Okay, so if you want to get one of those devices, I'm linking them in the description below this video. Also, there's a discount code which will help you bring down the price a little bit. Not sure how much, but still, maybe it's worth using it to get a discount. If you have some questions about this device, please leave them in the comment section below this video. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. See you soon.